Right, so here we go. How to qualify for the Boston Marathon. That is the theme for today's live stream. But first, we're going to talk about a few fun facts that I found out about the Boston Marathon. Maybe things that you may not have known. I found out a few things while I was doing this research and found it pretty interesting. There's so much stuff to find on the internet. Oh my gosh. It was actually hard for me to narrow down which ones I wanted to talk about. So, okay, so if you did not know, well, let me put my little thing here. I gotta make sure I get the right branding going on. Let me see. Oh wait, nope. Fun facts about the Boston Marathon. That's what we're talking about first before we get into all the qualifying stuff. So, first thing is, the field size for the 128th Boston Marathon was 30,000 participants. That is the maximum that they have, 30,000. That's the most they can have on there. But in 1897, they actually started with only 15 people. That was, it started in 1897, 15 participants, of course, all males, because they didn't introduce ladies until later on. And then, but in 2022 was actually the biggest marathon they've ever had. Or not, I'm sorry, in 1996, I'm sorry. My bad. 1996 was the biggest Boston Marathon they've ever had. Well, it was because it was the 100th anniversary of the Boston Marathon. So, of course, that makes sense. God, look at that. That must have been madness. But it actually had, let's see, it had 38,708 registrants or entrants. So I guess since then, they've kind of cut down the field. So that went down for the largest record for the world's largest marathon at that time. So, wow, 38,000 people at the 1996 Boston Marathon. That's wild. Yeah, so since then, they've cut it down. 30,000 is the cap. So that's interesting. That's the first fun fact. Let's see who's in the chat here before we move on forward. Oh, my friend Miriam. Thank you, Miriam. So Boston Marathon is amazing. The city of Boston is all about the marathon. The energy is insane on the race course. It's such an honor and an accomplishment to qualify. Oh my gosh, that must have been such a cool feeling when you did qualify for it, Miriam. I mean, I've talked to you about this a few times, but this is my friend Miriam. She's actually lives in Florida now. She actually came from out here, but now her and her wonderful husband's out in Florida, and she's battling that humidity out there. But she's a Boston qualifier and a finisher. I think she did it a couple times, actually. Maybe. But anyways, I think one of her tricks was just strength training and speed work. And we'll talk about a little bit about that later. But thanks, Miriam. Thanks for being here. I appreciate that. All right. So, fun fact number 2 is the fastest Boston Marathon time so far is 2:03:02. And let me go my little picture here. And that is from held by Kenya's Geoffrey Mutai. His winning time from 2011, 2:03:02. It was the fastest time ever recorded in the men's marathon then, as it was bettered. It was bettered by 2:03:59 at the 2008 Berlin Marathon. That just makes sense. Anyways, Mutai's time was actually not recognized. So, okay, his time was the fastest Boston Marathon time ever, but it's not recorded as a world record because the course of the Boston Marathon when he ran that, he actually had a tailwind against him. And the start to the finish on the course with a significant and had a drop in elevation. So, and since Boston is a point-to-point, they don't record that as the fastest marathon ever, but it's the fastest Boston Marathon ever. Isn't that interesting? So I guess they have requirements for what's the world record or what isn't. So even though he did it in 2:03, whatever it was, it did not go down as a world record, just as a Boston world record. So that's interesting. I did not know that. What's next here? Let me see. So we all know this one. So we all know that, so the first woman to not actually do the Boston Marathon, but to actually register for the Boston Marathon was Kathy Switzer back in 1967. She registered under the name KV Switzer. And she's actually issued an official race bib. But when she started running it, you know, as you see this picture here, it's the famous picture. You see like the organizer and the men actually tried pushing her off the course. Isn't that ridiculous? I think that guy back there, I think the one in the back with the black jacket, I think he was the mayor of the town or something. I don't know the exact details, but that's absurd. So, but actually, she wasn't the first woman to actually complete the Boston Marathon. There was actually a woman back in 1966, whose name was Nina Kusick, probably mispronouncing that. No, I'm sorry. That's the first winner. It was Nina Kusick in 1972. But Bobby Gibb, who ran without an official number, she was the first woman to actually race the Boston Marathon in 1966. So it wasn't Kathy, but Kathy was the first one with actually a race bib. But, you know, they thought she was a guy. So like, oh, here you go. So that's an interesting little fun fact. So what's next? Okay. Oh, this is a new one for this year. So, for the past few years, it's been Bob Hancock Financial, who's been the race presenting sponsor for years. And actually, this year, in 2024, they actually have a new sponsor. It is now Bank of America. So, Bob Hancock decided to step away, and now Bank of America had now stepped in. So they will be the official sponsor for the 2024 Boston Marathon. And I think they're the official sponsor for the Chicago Marathon also. So that's cool that they're actually, you know, they're making their rounds. Let's see, they're replacing John Hancock Financial. All right, so next fun fact. Let me get out of here. So I got my little list here. Okay, so in 2018, the largest demographic in the Boston Marathon by far was females 18 to 34. So there you go. 18 to 34 is the biggest demographic in the Boston Marathon. That's probably because it has the biggest gap. What did I say? Let me hold on. There's Orly, my friend Orly. She said John Hancock. Is that what I said? What did I say? I said something. But thanks, Orly. Thanks for correcting me. Anyways, John Hancock stepped away. Now it's Bank of America. Anyways, back to the age groups by gender. So the biggest age group at the Boston Marathon is 18 to 34. And that's because most likely it has the biggest age gap. It's like 16 years. And everything after that is increments of 5. So that makes sense. But it was actually surprising to me to see that by far females from the 18 to 34, this is back in 2018. I'm sure the numbers are different now. But 18 to 34 had 4,000 runners. And the males only had almost 3,000. So that's cool. So females are taking the lead when it comes to Boston. 18 to 34, let's see, so groups 5 years. So let's see, coming in third, or what was second? Second age group was, let me see, in my notes here. Group 5 years, the next. So anyways, the third group is 45 to 49. That's the next biggest group with 2,500. And the next one is 40 to 44 with 1,900. So I'm 45. That's my qualifying time. I'm 46. And we're going to get into the qualifying times a little later. But yeah, that's interesting that women between 18 and 34 are the largest demographic there. That's great. Be patient with me here with my notes, folks. But thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Let me know in the chat. Have you done Boston or you want to do Boston? And what is your qualifying time? So next so that's all the fun facts. So that's the fun facts I have. So, I got one more. How long does it take to do the Boston, to actually qualify for the Boston Marathon? For the average runner, how long does it averagely take? So Boston Marathon actually did a poll a few years ago. So it's not an official poll. But they said the average runner took was 6 years from when you first started running to 6 years to qualify for the Boston Marathon. So I started in 2017. I'm at my 6-year mark now, so I'm a little bit behind. But a lot of people have said the biggest contributor to qualifying was getting in more speed work. And I think, what's the percentage? They said I got my numbers here. Let's see, they said, I don't got my notes here. So they did, North Boston, almost all of them ran almost all of them ran over 1,000 miles or more per day, or 2,500 miles that year to qualify for it. And 84% of respondents said speed work played a role in helping them achieve their BQ. So 84% of people said speed work is the way to go. And that's something I'm lacking in. And I'm doing it a little bit more lately, but yeah. How's speed work with you? Do you do speed work a lot? Is that something you lack in? And I also lack in strength training. And I'm pretty sure from what my friend Miriam's always told me that strength training is the way to go. Strength training, speed work. And so those are the two things that I've been lacking on. So that probably explains why I have not qualified for Boston yet. But that's going to change soon, I hope, folks. That's going to change. Okay, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this live stream. And that is how to actually qualify for the Boston Marathon. What are the qualifying times for in 2023? So I know I'm 3:20. That's my time. But let's see what the other ones are. Here we go. All right, so if you're 18 to 34, you have to be at least under 3 hours. And we're going to talk a little bit about buffer times here in a minute. 18 to 34 is 3 hours. And for women, it's 3:30. So a half hour gap there. For 35 to 39, it's 3:05 for men, 3:35 for women. And they also have a non-binary section now, which they're matching with the females' times. So that's great. So they're opening up the field to everybody. 40 to 44, you got to be 3:10 as a male and 3:40 as a female. And 40 to 49, that's my time. 3:20 and 3:50 for females. So 3:20, I'm way off. I got so far to go. I think my last couple marathons were in the low 5s. So sheesh, I got a lot of work to do. But that's my goal, 3:20. But then when I go to 50, it only moves up by 5 minutes. So yeah, so 50 to 54, 3:25, and 3:55 for females. If you hear a little wind going on, that's because the AC just went on. Now, of course, I'm right underneath the vent, of course. All right, so 60 to 64, 3:50. See, these times to me don't get that much. I mean, 3:50 is still nothing to gawk at. I mean, that's still a heck of a time. 4:20 for females. 65 to 69, 4:05. And then 4:35 for females. What do you qualify at here? If you're watching, leave a comment below. Let me know. 70 to 74, you got to be 4:20 for males and 4:50 for females. Jeez, if you're 70 to 74 and you're running those kind of miles, man, that's impressive. 75 to 79, 4:35. Females, 5:05. And then 80 or over. So 80 or over is still 4:50. I'm not even at that yet. I'm not even at the 80 or over yet. So let me know in the chat, where are you at? You think, so right now I'm in the 80 or age group over. That's my closest right now is 80 years old or over. I got some work to do, folks. But I found this interesting. Let me go to this slide here. So as I said, there is a buffer time. So in 2018, I believe this was, so people, you had to actually have at least 4:52 or better to qualify for your time. I mean, so my time is 3:20. So I actually have to get a 3:15 to probably even get in there, because what they do is they take the first registrants and then they go by the fastest times. And so like my 3:20, they're going to go by fastest people. And then, so I have to have a buffer of 4:52 probably. So 5 minutes, but I'm going to get into it here in a minute. All right, we got a visitor here. We got Running Geek Girl. Hey, Heather, how are you? If you're watching, thank you for being here. I appreciate that. We're talking about the Boston Marathon today, Heather. Did you ever do the Boston Marathon? What's your thoughts on that? So yeah, so let me get to something else here. Oh, let's see. Well, I don't have it here, but anyways, yeah, the buffer. So if you're doing a qualify, you have to have a buffer time. So as I said, so 7,000 people in 2018 were turned away because they didn't hit the buffer time. So that's another. So even though you qualify, you still have to like worry, see if you can actually do it. What does Running Geek Girl say? Heather says, I have no hope of ever qualifying for Boston. I have to go through a charity. Okay, so we're going to talk about that here in a second, Heather. How to do charity. Nothing wrong with that either. Charity is great. All right, so what's my next topic here? I got to go through my little list here. I got a whole things I want to talk to you about. Okay. All right, so here's a few notes from Boston Marathon's website. So if you want to find all these things, just go to Boston Marathon's website. They even have training plans. They have everything you want to know on there. So registration for this year is going to take part over 5 days, September 11th to September 15th, 2023. So that's about a month and a half away. So what they do is they open it up from it's September 11th to September 15th, and then if they don't fill up, then they're going to open it again on Monday, September 17th. So achieving one's qualifying standard does not guarantee acceptance in the Boston Marathon. Those who are fastest among the pool of applicants in their age, gender group will be accepted. We just talked about that. Athletes who have currently active finisher streaks of 10 or more in the Boston Marathon, so you have to do 10 or more marathons, you have an opportunity to actually register early between August 28th and September 1st. So if you've done 10 or more Boston Marathons, you get the right to register early. For the 2024 Boston Marathon, the qualifying window. So if you want to register for Boston this year, listen to this part. 2024 Boston Marathon, your race has to be from September 1st, 2022, all the way to September 15th, 2023. So that means you have up until you got about another month and a half left to find a race to qualify for, to be able to be part of the 2024 Boston Marathon. So I'm definitely not going to have that chance. My next marathon might be the Long Beach Marathon, which is in October. So I'm way past that, and I wouldn't even come close to that anyway. But there you go. So you have to register. Your race that you qualify for has to be between September 1st, 2022, all the way to September 15th, 2023. So again, all this information can be found on the Boston Marathon website. So let's go to the charity partner stuff. This is one of my favorite things. Running for charity. This is another way of participating in the Boston Marathon without actually having to have all that speed under you, and you're actually doing it for another great cause. So even if you did qualify for Boston, you can actually still run for charity. So these are all, these are very small. You can't see them, but these are all the charity groups that you can actually run for to raise money for. You can't just find a charity partner like in your hometown or something and say, hey, I want to run for you. No, you have to actually run for one of the charity partners of the Boston Marathon. And as you see, there's about, 40 of them? Something like that, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, something like that. Around 40 of them here. And so you go on the website and you can actually go check, and you don't actually register through Boston Marathon. You have to actually go to the charity page, click on the one that you like, and then contact those people, and they're going to show you how to do that. So, yeah, that's another great way. But here's the kicker here. You have to, and I think my friend Orly, if she's watching still, you have to raise $5,000 to be able to participate. So that's the fundraising goal is $5,000, which, I guess that's a little high, but they only have a limited spot. So I guess they have to. So that's great. I mean, I would love to have, so if you do not know, my wife and I are co-founders of the nonprofit Run for Grace. And wouldn't that be a great goal one day to be a charity partner for the Boston Marathon? Oh my gosh, how cool would that be? So yeah, so that's all the fun facts I have for you when it comes to the Boston Marathon. I hope this helped. Please let me know if you're watching afterwards or during the live stream. Let me know your Boston Marathon experiences. Do you want to qualify for it? What's your Boston Marathon qualifying time? I want to hear all about it. Let me know also if there's something else that you want to know. I'll make a video about it. I did a lot of research on this. It was a lot of fun learning all these things because as I said, I want to be a Boston BQ one day. I want to get that coveted BQ status and go to Boston. But going to Boston and qualifying for it is just one part of the whole thing. I mean, you actually got to get to Boston. You've got to pay for the airfare. You got to pay for registration. And from what I hear, I didn't get a chance to actually get the numbers, but I think it's $300 just to register for the Boston Marathon. So $300 to register. You got to pay for your airfare. You got to pay for hotels, and I mean those hotels are skyrocketing. The prices are astronomical at that time. So you really got to plan ahead for this. It's not just, oh, I'm going to go do it and that's it. All right, so there you go. That's how you qualify for the Boston Marathon. Again, if you have any suggestions or tips or anything you want to leave for the community, please leave them below. Yeah, that's it. So anyways, I do this every Monday. I go live, different topics. But if you have not, please join my email list. I'll leave a link in the description below. And yeah, so you can get notified at the day of or the day before when I'm about to go live, what the topic's going to be. So, and don't forget to follow on all the socials, Running for My Best Life. I'd love to connect with you over there. And until next time, I'm Anthony, reminding you to keep running for your best life. I'll see you soon.